Hi everyone, welcome to the Steve Perryman Podcast. As usual, and we seem to be doing these probably about once a month. And as usual, the collaborators in Howard. Welcome, Howard.
Hi.
And Tom. Welcome, Tom.
Evening, gents.
Hopefully you're both okay. Perhaps you need to tell us later what's been happening in your lives. But this is a very special week for me, because on the 27th of September 1969, Bill Nicholson entrusted me to wear the famous white first team shirt against Sunderland. So that's, of course, this podcast is done on Wednesday night and it's going to come out during Thursday. And that's the date of the, 55 years. How old were you, Tom, 55 years ago?
Minus 13, if my maths serves me correctly. So,
Minus.
I can't say I remember it, so but don't take it, please don't be offended by that.
And Howard, how old were you?
I was 17 on that day.
17, so obviously the same age as me.
Yeah.
So I can't talk to you, Tom, about memories of that day, but Howard, go on then. What do you remember about it?
Well, I decided to look through your initial time in the club, or in the first team, and I said, like you, I was 17 years old. Like you, I played a lot of football. Unlike you, I was not a good footballer by any stretch of any imagination.
Oh,
the
Howard,
game before your debut was up at Derby, where we lost 5-0. The media were full of players in London weren't as good or as hard-working as the players up north. So I'm thinking we're going to have to work even harder against Sunderland. My take on Steve's steady performance was that you could see the effort he put in throughout the game. His energy was a breath of fresh air. Everyone knew that Bill Nick had unearthed a top-quality player. Sadly, we lost 1-0 from a wonder goal scored by our own Mike England, who was off balance when he headed it way past Pat's big hands. Later that season, in the fourth round of the FA Cup, we were still not playing well. Although we'd beaten Bradford, it was in a replay. Then we were drawn against Palace at home, and then again we drew. So we had to go back to Palace, and we lost 1-0. So the next game, Bill left out 6 players, including Steve, and when questioned by the press about Steve being omitted, Bill said, "I left out 5 players and I rested Steve, because he works hard and he doesn't deserve to have to play with those who were not as committed as him." The next season saw Steve playing every match. Over the years, plenty of players have come and gone that we thought could take his place. But then they're disappointed and they're gone. Frankly, Steve, you're irreplaceable.
Well done, Howard. Thank you very much. Very much. Well, the 55 years makes me think about my best decisions, my worst decisions within that time frame, especially the Tottenham time frame. 17 years after that time of being in the first team, but 19 years at the club. So I think I have to say my best decision was, despite a lot of interest from many clubs, because I was an England schoolboy, the best decision was to join a club led by Bill Nicholson. Now, that happened to be Tottenham Hotspur, and great. I'd like to say that I wanted to play for Spurs all my life. It wasn't like that. Being from West London, I had no real allegiance to anyone at the top level. So Bill Nicholson, Eddie Bailey, and their staff, why was it such a good decision? Because they were all on the same page. The tone was set by Bill, obviously, and his staff followed his instructions to the letter. So there was no gaps. You couldn't find someone to agree with you if you thought you were playing well and Bill and Eddie thought you weren't playing well, you couldn't slink off to the youth coach or the reserve team coach and find someone who was going to support your thoughts. Absolutely not. They really were. They had a plan and a purpose. And therefore, that doesn't suit all players, but it suited me. And I'm a very good, I think I'm a good person at taking instructions. My wife, Kim, might tell you different. But they made you aware of what was required and what this club, great club, expects of you, and what you owe the supporters, the fact that they turn up every week and in effect pay your wages. So Bill Nick was always pushing forward what the supporters meant to the club and the money that they were bringing in. And he even highlighted the season ticket holders because they were obviously putting their money where their mouths were in support of their club. So that was a major decision for me to make at 15 years of age. And of course, I'm saying that off the back of surviving there for another 19 years. So it feels like a good decision. Probably my worst decision was rejoining Spurs. So this is the same club. And by this time, I love that club. I love the people there. I love what it stood for. I was very aware of how the club ticked. And I went back to join Ozzy. Ozzy was manager, and I left my job as first team manager of Watford. So why was it such a bad decision? Because it was a club run by then Alan Sugar, who owned the club. This was a totally different club to the one that I joined when Bill Nick was virtually in charge. Of course, he wasn't the chairman, he wasn't the director, but he decided what went on and how the club was being run and the face of it to the public. So that was particularly disappointing, and don't really need to go too deep into any of that, but the respect level was zero. And I'm not proud to say this, but it was that bad a decision that I fell out of love with both football and the club, my club. So, but if I hadn't have joined Tottenham with Ozzy, I would then not have been able to follow him to Japan. Again, that is the second rung of good decisions, because we had 3 years together that we tell each other all the time it's the best 3 years of our lives. So, and whereas the respect level was zero at Tottenham Hotspur at the time, it was immense in Japan and at our particular club. They respected Ozzy as a World Cup winner. They listened to his thoughts, his ideas, his plans, and I was part of carrying those out. And therefore, we had success and we were respected. And I speak to coaches, managers all the time, friends who have been at other clubs. And even though they weren't quite as successful, they were still treated with respect. So I think that's the nature of working in Japan at that particular time. So there's two decisions, one for the best and one for the worst, and then back to the best again with regard to my, and we all have to make decisions about our careers, don't we? So, yeah. Yeah. So I think I need to tell you both, although you probably both know that Kim's had this back operation. She had it 2 weeks ago, and a much needed operation. I'm pleased to say she's looking better every day. The improvement goes on day by day. And of course, I'm under some pressure of now having to do things that I've not really done before. So, for instance, Kim is asking me to fill up the salt machine. Where's the salt machine? So then she can now walk. So she shows me where the salt machine is, and wow, okay, that's new. And where's the salt that I'm supposed to put in? So now I know where the salt is that goes in the salt machine. And all I would say about that is that I'm now looking for the pepper machine. If there is such a thing, and obviously there's not. So, and while you're doing the cleaning or the hoovering and the daily chores, it takes you back in time, because I'm now going to try and tie together the Bill Nick era and my era now I'm in this last fortnight. And when you're hoovering and you think, do I really need to move that table to get underneath there and in the corners, etc.? And that leads me back to the Bill Nicholson instructions of Steve. If you're going to do something, just do it right. Just do it the best you can. And therefore, trust me, when I hoover, this place is hoovered. To tie in the Japanese element of this, then I remember my stepson, when we'd been in Japan for about 6 months, he said to me, Dad, do you know that Japanese schools don't have cleaners? Ah, who cleans up? We do. The last half an hour of school time is spent cleaning, and you'll have your own jobs to do, and you get on with it and you do it. So I said to him, how do you feel about that? He said, I got to tell you, if you know you're going to clean it up, you don't make it dirty. So how clever is that thinking? So guess what? I'm reverting back to those rules in this last 2 weeks. Because if I'm going to hoover these carpets and rooms and dust and do whatever, I certainly am not going to add to that workload. I definitely am not. So maybe that's something for me to remember when Kim eventually gets fit. I think she's got a 6-week recovery period. We're going to see her surgeon on Friday, and we're looking for some good news then that she can maybe go for a short walk and build up on it. But yeah, so I'll keep you posted as per her progress.
Get well soon, Kim.
Thank you very much. Tom, you've seen most of the games. You haven't been present at all of the games, obviously. You didn't go to Coventry. Any comments on the last few games? We're obviously happier after the last Sunday's result, because before that we were starting to feel a little bit down, weren't we?
We say
Yeah. No, it's been funny, hasn't it? I think the performances have generally been good this season. Had a lot of possession, maybe not quite so much cutting edge, apart from the Everton game when we put them to sword a bit. Still missed a lot of chances then. But then Arsenal was a reasonably decent performance. Didn't feel like a North London derby. It was a really disappointing result in the end, obviously. But Coventry we absolutely stunk the place out. It was I don't know what we were watching at times. It felt
awful.
really, really
it was
poor.
awful, Tom. It
And
was awful.
It was,
wasn't it?
It was it just felt like one of those. We always seem to have a game like that in every cycle of Spurs, like whether it's like Grimsby under Martin Jol, or Colchester under Poch. In just obviously just thinking about the last 20 years or so, but they're just always seems to be a performance like this in against a supposedly lower team away from home, where we just don't show up, expect to just be able to rock in and do the business, and we really got away with one there. But then the Brentford game, obviously it then goes from bad to worse, going behind after 23 seconds, and I mean, hell of a goal. But
Yeah.
but then we played so well after that, and I think that was almost like, certainly in the first half, it definitely felt like a lot was clicking. A lot of the runs players were making, a lot of the kind of space that was being created. I think Maddison had the best game he's had in a long time. I think he's been pretty decent all season, to be honest, in terms of without kind of like setting the world on fire.
But Brentford was the game for him. Brentford was the one.
Yeah, and you could just see, like, when he scored, his reaction, like he just looked absolutely almost like just relief more than anything. Like it almost just like a symbol that he's kind of back to his kind of pre-Chelsea injury form, which where he really did shine. So hopefully that's just in time for the next important couple of games away at Man United and Brighton.
Tom, you didn't go to the Brentford game.
No, unfortunately, I had a friend's birthday due that day, and to be honest, I'm still recovering from it, if I'm telling you the truth. But it was pretty brutal.
How you did go to the Brentford game?
I did go to the Brentford game, and strangely enough, when they scored, part of me said, "No problem. We know we're better than this lot. We'll be able to do it." Now, the other way around, it constantly happens to us getting caught out and losing when we should have won. It seems to me you've got other supporters in the same position.
If it had been Spurs scored that early, your thought would have been,
"Oh my God,
too
early." We know you so well, Howard, so well.
Yeah. How many times have we scored like that early at Man United or Chelsea or somewhere, and then you just know that, well, enjoy this while we can, because they're going to come rocking back.
My thinking about the Arsenal performance, and I've heard what you said, Tom, and I agree with all that. If in a North London derby you're at home, it becomes a chess match, and therefore the tempo goes down. Who do you think wins most out of that lack of tempo in a game? The home team or the away team?
Always the away team.
I think the away team gains because you've got 60-odd thousand people revving the home team up to go forward, revving themselves up, actually.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, they were revving themselves up more than the team were. So, no one wants you to chase a game, but I think you've got to keep the tempo up when you're at home, especially in a North London derby, because don't disappoint the opponents on that matter, at least. So then the disappointing goal with Romero's marking, wow, that was so disappointing, and the fact that the goalkeeper gets pinned to his line, and you're virtually defending a corner without a goalkeeper in that situation, aren't you? And whether it's a foul or against the law or against the rules, I think we'll leave that to the Arsenal people, because they seem to know every rule that's going.
Don't they just?
Especially when it's against them. But you want to give mention to Brennan Johnson, Tom, with regard to his form.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a reasonably slow start to the season in terms of his output. No shortage of effort as always, but he's copped a lot of abuse on his social media, to the extent he deleted his Instagram account due to abuse from his so-called supporters, and I think you saw, like, in the both goals he scored, he didn't exactly look overjoyed, particularly the Coventry one, I think, and there's it's a real shame if there's like a feeling that Spurs fans as a whole are being represented by the actions of a few mindless ones on who are sending him grief. So hopefully, I mean, as I say, that didn't make it on Saturday, but by all accounts the stadium was singing his name after he scored. And I hope that the relationship could be repaired there, because I was really, really happy that he stepped up, and he's been getting into the positions all season. doesn't always
Yeah.
make the right decision. And he's not a kind of Aaron Lennon speed past, the fullback type player, is he? But he's certainly someone who can find space and run off the shoulder at the right time, if he's found. And we could have had 2 identical goals to the one he did score against Brentford the other day if his shooting had been a bit better. So long may it continue, and hopefully he'll carry on getting in those positions and up in the percentage of successful outputs from him.
Yeah, I don't wish to get too technical, because these things are explained better on a tactics board.
Yeah.
But if I can try to, just a thought, having been a fullback for probably the last 5 years of my career. So when he picks the ball up and goes at the fullback, which he does on a number of occasions during the game, as the fullback, I want someone that attacks me and stays on the same line. So he picks his line. For instance, I'm pulling the number out the air, 30 degrees to the touchline. That's his line of run, for instance. Might be 25, could be 30, 35, doesn't matter. Anyway, so if he does not change his line that he's running on, you now don't have to change any of your line. Depending on how you're taught to defend, you pick your line. Now you're backing off. He's running forward. You're backing off as the fullback. And then all of a sudden, he then sprints and then tries to cross the ball. And it gets blocked too much. So as a fullback, my advice to him would be, and I have no influence on things like this, but it's my opinion. When you pick the ball up, you run for, say, 5 meters on a certain line. Then you decide to go a bigger angle to the touchline, maybe 45, and you're attacking now the fullback's inside foot. And that means he has to adjust his position. And as a fullback, I can tell you, you don't like to keep having to change your line, because actually you're only reacting to the ball. So the ball changes line and then it changes back. So what I suggest is that he goes at you, inside you, outside, back onto the first line, and then you've got an angle to whip the ball in past the struggling leg of the defender. Hope that makes sense. But actually, then on Sunday against Brentford, he did what I'm asking, but without going inside. He went on a straight line, then a touch more outside, and then another touch outside, and scored for a quite an unbelievable angle, which said to me, I questioned their goalkeeper on it, and I questioned their defender on it. So it turned out in a goal, so I cannot possibly be criticizing it. So he did what I wanted him to do in a certain way, but in a different way. And so I would like 5 minutes to explain that to him, but I doubt if I'm ever going to get it. And of course, that's pie in the sky. But yeah, any comments, Howard, on any of the games you can remember?
It's just this constant aspect of us for scoring first and losing. And I never quite understand. I think I mentioned to you the other day. I was sitting right behind where Ange was standing in his technical area.
Yeah.
He made 4 substitutions. He did not say a word to any of those 4 substitutes. Now, I don't know if he had a real go at them in the dressing room or whatever was said, but it seems to me that his connection there is. I
think we have to agree that Ange is going to do something. He's going to do things a different sort of way to what's normal. And I mean, does it show emotion on the sideline. I think he is showing emotions inside. He's not actually going to act it in front of us.
No.
And I still believe in him. I really do. And I think there's a lot of good stats about our game that we should be, getting a bit more convinced, rather than one result setting us back. Of course, the Arsenal setback is a big one, but I just wonder what would have happened if we had have lost at Coventry, because actually we deserved to lose.
Yeah.
And then to go a goal down against Brentford, had that happened, who knows? The pressure would be so extreme pressure on him and on, the whole club, including the supporters, because, it looks like the season would be ebbing away for us this early. So yeah, but anyway, I do trust in Ange.
Good.
I want him to do well. You got the same feeling, Tom?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, there's always something to talk about, and the way we play under him is just so much more entertaining and enjoyable to watch than what we've been putting up with the last few years. I mean, there's plenty of argument about times for a bit more pragmatism and whatnot, but I just think it's high risk, high reward, plenty of fine margins which possibly haven't quite gone our way. I'm thinking about the Newcastle game in particular, where their winner, was their one chance the second half really, which came about because of Dragic not quite keeping up with the line and Mickey van der Ven not being there to run back and with the pace to kind of prevent the attack. But yeah, and then the other fine margins have gone in our favour, like the Coventry win at the end, which like say immediately kind of reduces the pressure a bit. Everyone's a bit happier again after the Brentford game, and they have. I mean, yeah, you look at Mark Robbins for Man United and when Ferguson was and you look at Harry Kane deflected free kick against Villa when Poch might have lost his job if that game didn't go our way. So I think there's always fine lines, but like you say, I think the stats, and I'm not one for like getting stuck in data and stats and things generally. I just like to go and enjoy watching football. But certainly when you look at where we are in terms of like, we're first for like most touches in the opposition box, most shots, most all these kind of like attacking. I mean, obviously, conveniently enough, a lot of these stats, these stat breakdowns don't contain much in the way of defensive information. But we're clearly kind of something starting to tick a bit in terms of the way things are kind of going, and I'm excited to see what happens.
It feels like we're about to click.
Yeah, I mean I think at half time on Saturday, I mean the second half wasn't quite as good, and we had to dig in a bit, but I definitely felt like that half was and it was Brentford, who are a good team. They're not like it wasn't like we did it against Chelsea or Arsenal or anyone, but Brentford are a good, well organised team, and we whether it's our pressing making them kind of give it away to us, we seem to kind of win it off them a lot in the final third as well as like closer to the halfway line.
We definitely press better.
Yeah, and but then the passing just seems so much more direct, and there's a lot more passing into space, I think, rather than kind of like passing to feet and without anywhere to go, which is kind of how
slowing
it felt
ourselves
a little
down. Slowing ourselves down. That's a big problem for us.
I think the next two games will tell us a lot. Man United and Brighton away. So Karabakh first tomorrow night, obviously. But
are you going tomorrow? Howard, are you going?
No, we're going to go up to Terry and Felicity.
Yeah, sure. Bless them. Give them my regards.
And
you, Tom, you going?
No, I won't be doing a Thursday night. Unfortunately, it's my
busy.
I'm generally allowed all the weekend games, but yeah, Thursday night on a school night with the kids is generally a little bit out of control when it comes to. I mean, obviously later in the tournament, who knows? But
and busy at work.
Very busy at work. Very busy at work. But Karabakh, where it all started for Son 9 years ago.
Yes, that's right.
His first goals against them.
So I just want to mention some ex-players that we still have feelings for. Phil Bill and Pat Holland have had new hips and are in the recovery stage, so we wish them well. And Graham Souness has had a couple of stents fitted. And when I contacted him, he said that it wasn't a shock. He knew that it was coming, that this was going to be needed. It was just about when. So obviously those health issues we hope clear up soon for those three. Good luck to our boys. It'll be tonight now when people are listening to this, on Thursday night, and again on Saturday at the weekend. I actually turned down an offer to go and be in the company of Sir Alex Ferguson at Man United. And of course, I'm not going to be travelling anywhere while Kim's in her state of unease with the bad back. But it would have been nice, and perhaps I'll do that next year or later on in the year. Not that particular club, of course. So thank you very much for listening, as ever. Thank you for Tom for your input.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Good man, Howard. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy anniversary.
Yeah, absolutely. I expect I'll be getting a phone call from Mabsy.
Yeah. Every chance.
Just to wish me all the best. And tell Viv we like the photo of her behind you. Okay, come on you Spurs, and speak to you later, probably in around a month's time. So thanks for listening. Bye. Bye-bye.